Hello and welcome to this video. Today we're going to be learning how to flat stack. It's one of the easiest ways to play Tetris. It means that you can get lots and lots of Tetrises, you can get quite good scores, and you can send lots of lines if you're battling against other people. And it's generally considered a very flexible method. It will allow you to downstack against people sending you lines if you're playing competitively, and it will just generally get you good times if you're just playing 40 lines. So 40 lines, what is it? The speed mode. So let's get into it. This is what it looks like. So I'm just going to leave a column on the right, and what I'm doing is simply stacking up and just trying to keep it relatively flat. So here is an interesting situation. So I've got a very flat screen here, and I have a choice. I can either put this eyepiece down the gap, or I can put it along here. Now, as you can see, I'm going to put it along here, and there's a reason why I'm going to do that. Is because I don't want my flats area to be too big. I want there to be some bumps, so I can place these Z and these S pieces down. Because often, if you don't have any bumps in your stack, then it's going to be very hard for you to get rid of your S and your Z pieces. And once you've stacked up quite high, you can start down stacking. I would recommend, if you're playing online battle, to stack down before this point, before you're this high up in your matrix. So there I had an option. I could have either dropped the I in here, or I could have dropped it over there. I noticed that I had this piece, so I could make my stack flatter again, so I did that. And a lot of this comes down to just practice, recognizing certain patterns that you can utilize. I by no means know all the patterns. I don't know all the patterns, but I know a lot, and I can successfully stack quite flat and do this pretty much indefinitely. Also, you want to be using your eyepieces quite a lot in your main main stack, the left hand 9 columns. You want to be using a fair amount of eyepieces. Don't always save your eyepieces, they're not really that important. You'll get an eyepiece coming up every 7 pieces, so don't worry about that too much. Alright, so once you've got the basics down, you can stack fairly flat and you can go for quite a while. There are some things you can be doing to improve your stacking. So the first thing you can be doing to improve is to understand parity. So what is parity? It is when you have, so what you should do is, to see this most clearly, is color in the matrix, color in the whole matrix in 2 colors, black and white, say, and color them so that 2 adjacent squares have opposite colors, so you get a big checkerboard pattern. Right. So once you've colored them in, you'll notice that when you place a piece down, a piece will cover 2 squares. Piece will cover 4 squares, of course, but every single piece will cover 2 black squares and 2 white squares. Right. So you can see that with the O piece here. They'll have 2, the opposite corners will have the same color, so there'll be 2 of one and 2 of the other. The eyepiece, that'll be just a checkerboard, so the first one will be black, then white, then black, then white. But there is a piece that doesn't do this. I said all pieces do, but there is one that doesn't, and that's the T piece. So that's why the T piece is very special here. So what happens with the T piece is that it has 3 of one color and 1 of the other, and this can be good and bad. So what the T piece allows you to do is it allows you to make an imbalance. So every time you drop a piece, you'll have the same amount of black and white squares in your matrix, but once you drop a T piece, you'll have more of one than the other. And after a while, if you drop T pieces so that you accumulate one color more than the other, then you're going to run into a problem, and this is what I like to call a parity error. It's when you have an overwhelming number of one type of square, either light squares or dark squares, and the way you avoid this is, and also this can be deadly to your stack, because once you have too many of one, then it's very difficult for you to start placing certain pieces, like the O piece. So the way you avoid this is you have to try and pair up your T pieces. So what you do is, here I've got two T pieces queued up, one in the hold and one in next. So I'm going to bring one T piece out, and I'm going to put the other T piece such that the edges of the T piece are touching. So it's by the edges I mean the three squares that are, so you can think about it as a spokes coming out from the central square, and so I want those the spokes of the T pieces to be adjacent to each other. So here you can see I've done just that, and I'm not going to run into any parity errors if I keep going like this. So here I have one T piece, and I'm going to try and put another T piece next to it, like that. So there we go, the spokes of the T piece are touching, and so I avoid parity errors. And so that's the basic idea of avoiding parity errors. And also, after a while, you kind of get a natural feel for how parity is working, and you don't have to think about it so much. So I think I'd have to check this, but I think these two T pieces, my last two T pieces, I think they avoid parity errors. I just get a feeling that they do. And if we count the number of squares in between, so if I count, I realize, let me see. Yes, no, these don't avoid parity errors, so I guess this isn't optimal. Let me just check one more time. No, these two pieces are adding to the same, these are adding to the parity, or adding to the complication. But I did it just to try and keep my stack flat like this. So sometimes you can disobey the parity errors, disobey the parity law that I set up, but sometimes you really do need to look out for it. Can be very difficult. So what else can you be doing to improve your flat stacking? Well, often you'll run into situations where you'll be using certain combinations of pieces and how they lock together. I'm not sure if there's a way to practice this, but what I find helps is learning how to ST stack and using some of those kinds of blocks in ST stacking to speed up your flat stacking. So that's one other thing you can be doing. And another question I'm asking myself right now is, how did I let this happen? Oh, that was not good. Anyway, I think that's about it on flat stacking. And next time we'll be looking at ST stacking, I guess, since I mentioned it here. And we'll see how that works. See you next time.